Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my gamer profile based on the Quantic Foundry test and analyze how accurate it is by using Sekiro Shadow Die Twice as my main example. Throughout this video, I will explain how each motivation category matches my personal gaming preferences and whether Sekiro fits my gamer profile or not. My dominant gamer type according to Quantic Foundry is Bounty Hunter, which is defined as an action-oriented, independent, and exploration-focused. First of all, I want to talk about the social motivation. As you can see from my results, my social score is extremely low and this is very accurate. I generally do not enjoy playing games with other people, especially competitive multiplayer games. In competitive environments, I can easily become frustrated or angry, which reduces my enjoyment. Because of this, I strongly prefer single player games where I can focus entirely on my own experience. Sekiro is a completely single-player game with no multiplayer or co-op features. This makes it a perfect match for my profile. I can confidently say that this category is one of the most accurate reflections of my gaming habits. Action is one of my strongest motivations in gaming. My score is 80%. I enjoy action games that have deep and well-designed combat systems rather than chaotic or mindless action. I have played and finished many action games such as Resident Evil, Yakuza, and Call of Duty. These games attract me because they keep me engaged and make me feel connected to the game. However, my interest in action is more related to adrenaline and precision than pure destruction. For example, I could not finish games like Doom, which focus on non-stop action without much strategic thinking. In contrast, Sekiro offers an action system that requires timing, focus, and skill. Mechanics such as parrying, dodging, and posture management create constant tension. As you can see in my gameplay, I am parrying the boss's attacks. Every attack and defense move feels so satisfying. This is the main reason why I started to play this game. Challenge is another important motivation for me, especially when it's balanced and fair. I enjoy games that require strategic thinking and learning from mistakes. This is also why I play strategy games like Cities Skylines and Hearts of Iron, where planning and decision making are essential. When it comes to action games, I usually do not enjoy extreme difficulty unless it is designed around mastery. Souls-like games such as Sekiro are a clear exception. In Sekiro, enemies and bosses can defeat player in one or two hits. As you can see in my gameplay, boss is performing a capture attack. And because my reflexes weren't good enough to escape the attack, I was caught and died. And this is directs me to try again. So I am trying over and over again in order to defeat the boss. This would be very annoying for any other game. But if I have a perfectly designed boss and planned strategic possibilities, then why wouldn't I do it? In every try, I am trying different ways to defeat the boss. And while doing this, I'm learning the boss's moves. My reflexes are improving with each fight. That is one of my favorite things. You progress in the game by developing your own reflexes and abilities without having to level up. Immersion is one of my highest motivation scores, and it plays a major role in how I choose games. I usually prefer story-driven games such as The Last of Us and God of War Ragnarok, where narrative and gameplay are well balanced. At first glance, Sekiro may seem less immersive because it does not rely heavily on cutscenes or long dialogues. However, the game creates immersion through atmosphere, level design, sound, and combat intensity. The story in Sekiro is minimal and mostly environmental. This is a deliberate design choice. If the game focused more on storytelling, the pacing would likely slow down and negatively affect the experience. Because of this, I still feel deeply immersed in Sekiro, even though it uses a different approach to compare it to traditional narrative-driven games. Achievement is another strong motivation for me, with a score of 84%. Even though I'm not a traditional achievement hunter, I enjoy completing meaningful content and feeling progression. In most games, I stop playing the game when I feel satisfied with the main story. I often skip side quests unless they feel rewarding or interesting. Once again, Sekiro is an exception. Because of its strong enemy and boss design, I wanted to experience everything the game offered. I explored every area, defeated every mini-boss, and collected as many items as possible. For example, after unlocking the diving ability, I immediately started thinking about all the underwater areas I had previously seen. After a short search, I used my newly acquired ability to discover a new boss. This shows how Sekiro successfully motivates exploration and completion, even for players who are not usually completionists. The game led me to explore and rewarded me in the end. I could have skipped this boss if the game hadn't piqued my interest in exploration. Creativity is not a dominant motivation in my gamer profile, and this is clearly reflected in my low creativity score. I do not enjoy playing freedom or sandbox style games such as Just Cause or Terraria. Sekiro does not give total freedom, but instead offers a controlled and well designed form of creativity. The game allows creative decision making within strict rules, such as timing, positioning, and combat strategy. This limited but meaningful freedom perfectly fits my preferences and my gamer profile. In addition, the game's enemy and boss designs encourage the player to use different items. For example, to more easily defeat enemies with shields, I bought the X upgrade that can be attached to our prosthetic arm. I usually don't use things like bombs or consumables in games, but in Sekiro, defeating certain enemies without these items is genuinely very difficult. And thanks to this, I started killing shielded enemies whom I had been waiting a century to attack, in 5 or 6 seconds. In conclusion, the Quantic Foundry test represents my gamer profile quite accurately. Most of my motivation scores strongly align with my personal gaming habits. Sekiro Shadow Die Twice is a very good example of how a single game can match a gamer profile across multiple motivation categories, even with some exceptions. Thank you for listening to my analysis of myself through this game.